I'm recording the lecture, and I'm gonna send you all the link. I started in a YouTube channel where I'm gonna put. So if you're interested in watching videos from my intro class, I guess you can too. But it's just for this week.
Do you have what's in? I'm gonna follow.
Yeah, I mean it's Dr. Palmer, TAMEC is what. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is for the people who weren't able to make it to class, but like I said, like we were supposed to have class, so. And I know, like, we got people who were at the party. I know there are people in this class who were friends with people who are shot, things like that. So, like, obviously, we're not gonna, if you have the assignment, you can have an extension on the assignment, whatever, like, we're gonna work around this, okay? There are counseling services available on campus. You don't have to have been involved in the incident to need to talk about it, right? You might be, feeling all sorts of different things. Feel free to access counseling services, all right? You can call that number for details, and I think you got an email about it, right? Okay. So to help everyone feel safe, I am going to be closing the doors for class. This is something that I read about is good for.
Now, I have a question. With all your experiences with teaching, this computer, so much with teaching, what would happen if there's like a limit inside of the college building?
So this is what they say. This is why they say to close the doors, right? Because this locks. So presumably, if there's someone in the hallway, we should be safe. All right. That's what I read. Like I said, this week lectures will be recorded and posted on D2L. They won't actually be posted regularly on D2L. I'm going to email out the link, but you know what I mean. All absences will be excused this week. And I'll grant extensions on the assignment for any who need it. Okay? I would just cancel the assignment, but I think that it's probably better for... Yeah, I can...
Somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Like I said, extensions on the assignment for any who need it, because I think these assignments are useful for you, and I don't want to hurt people's grades by dropping an assignment or mess up the grading scale or anything like that. Okay. So what is symbolic interactionism?
Symbolic interactionism is a micro-level theoretical perspective concerning with meaning interaction.
That's true. So this is the Thomas theorem. This is a really cool thing. If a person perceives a situation as real, it's real in its consequences. So think about things like race, right? We've decided race is real, right? And it certainly is real in how it affects people, right? Money. We made up money. Money is just paper. But if you don't have money, it's going to affect your life, right? So, like you said, symbolic interactionism is a micro-level theoretical perspective. We're looking at, zooming in, and we're concerned with meaning and interaction. What does that mean? Well, here are some tenets. Human beings act toward ideas, concepts, and values on the basis the meanings of those things have for them. So, if I see swastika, right, I respond to it based on the meanings, the socially constructed meanings the swastika has. I might be afraid. I might be, recognize that's a hate symbol or whatever, right? Someone in India, a swastika is a good luck symbol. They're going to react toward it based on the meanings that they have. Right? So that's what this is about. Right? And these meanings are the product of social interaction in human society. So, we learn through social interaction what these meanings are, and we produce them over and over again. All of our behaviors are drops in a bucket. Right? So, as an individual, it's very hard to change things. But if we all react toward things in a different way, things will change. These meanings are modified and filtered through an interpretive process that each individual uses in dealing with outward signs. So in our heads, we're going, okay, I see that person's reacting one way, I'm going to react this way, all that. Right? So, remember somebody asked me, what's dramaturgy? Did you ask me that earlier in the semester? All right.
Dramaturgy is like if people see life as a performance.
Yeah.
That's
So,
like, as you can see in this picture right here, that's like one face is like with a head, and then that's taking his mask off.
He's going to have different masks because life is a performance, right? So, human interaction is dependent upon time, place, and audience. I'm acting one way because I'm in the setting of the classroom. I'm in the role as a professor. You all are students. I act very differently when I'm in my office hanging out with the other professors, just chatting during lunch, right?
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
It's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just different, right? Much more casual. I'm using my teacher voice right now. Loud, right? If I talk to you, if you come by my office sometime, I'm not going to talk so loudly at you, right? I'm performing a certain interaction. I'm doing my lecture. I'm doing my lecture even though, maybe it would be better if we just sat and had a chat today. I don't know, right? But this is the setting. This is the situation. So we show different selves to the world depending on the situation and our expected roles, right? Like I'm a friend to some people. I'm a professor to other people. I'm going to talk very differently in those different situations, right? That doesn't mean that the teacher self is inauthentic, right? I'm not coming in here and pretending to be something I'm not. And it doesn't mean that how I am around my family is inauthentic. It just is how I am in that situation. We all probably act differently with our family than we do with our friends, right? Or you've been in a situation where you have two different friend groups and they're coming together and it can be awkward because you're like, oh, I behave differently with my high school friends than I do with my college friends, something like that, right? So, Goffman talks about impression management. I don't know how to scoot that. I don't think so. But basically, we are thinking about how we're coming off to others. When I'm lecturing, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna dress up in a certain way. I don't wear little polos and khakis when I'm hanging out at home, right? I don't talk this way when I'm hanging out at home, but I'm like, I want to come off as a professor, right? I want to come off as professional. When you go in for a job interview, you're going to be a version of yourself that's more professional because you're thinking, oh, if I shake their hand, they're going to think this, blah, blah. We're always thinking about these different things. This is kind of an example, right? He's thinking about all these different things. So as we interact, we pay attention to ourselves and others. We figure out the situation, expectations, roles, and adjust accordingly. So I might be lecturing and I see everybody sleeping, right? Then I might say, okay, I'm going to adjust how I do, right? If you're talking to somebody and you realize they're pulling away, you might be like, oh, they think I'm awkward. Maybe I should adjust how I'm doing, right? We're constantly trying to figure out what's the situation here? What's going on here? So impression management is we try to present ourselves in a way that is favorable and meets expectations. If I'm trying to present myself as a professor, you're trying to present yourself as a student. You're trying to show me you're a good student. I don't know if you're really taking notes or you're pretending to take notes, it doesn't matter, right? You're presenting yourself in a certain way, right? So it can be either conscious or unconscious. Right? You don't get up in the morning and think, I'm going to consciously be a certain way, maybe. You just do, right? You've been socialized from the time you were little kids about how to be good in a classroom, right? So you don't have to necessarily think about it. Front stage versus backstage. And some of this might have been covered in your intro class, right? So I like this comic, life with guests, life without guests. She's, being a little more presentable when people are around. So we behave differently performing for others and when we're alone. When we're alone, we let our guard down. We don't worry about how we appear. The front stage is part of our performance. The back stage is where we're less concerned with our performance itself. An excellent example of this would be if anybody has been like a waiter or waitress, right? In front of the customer, you can't say, "Wow, you're really dumb." You can't yell at them. You can't show that you're angry.
So the customer service folks.
Yes, right? That'd be your front stage. Then you go back into the kitchen, you could be like, these people are absolute idiots, right? You could let your guard down and you're not performing that service role anymore. Actually, that's a great example of emotion management too, right? Which we'll talk about when we're reading The Managed Heart. When you could be really mad, you can be really upset when you're on the job, but you're expected to be friendly and happy, right? So anyone watch The Office? Okay.
I understand that.
So, my wife won't watch The Office because it makes her feel secondhand embarrassment because people are so awkward who experience secondhand embarrassment. The Office is funny because a lot of times you see spoiled performances. They're not performing up to the expectations they're supposed to, right? Michael's not acting like a boss.
They're just reflecting ideal cultural standards.
They're not reflecting ideal cultural standards, right? On the show. They're screwing up.
A slip up.
It's a slip up, yeah. So this comic has one too, right? Enjoy your meal. Thanks, you too. Never return here, right? So that's a spoiled performance. If I got up here and I mispronounced a ton of words, you would be like, wait, does he have a degree? Like, does he know what he's doing? So we construct our performances to reflect ideal cultural standards, and when we screw up, that's a spoiled performance, right? And that can be losing face, right? Suddenly you're like, wait, should we be listening to this guy? He can't pronounce any words, right? I've lost face. Tact is the act of helping someone save face. So if I'm mispronouncing a ton of words, you might want to make me feel better, and so instead of correcting me, you might just ignore it. You're like, well, maybe he, is having a weird day, or maybe he's testing us, or something like that. Try to help diffuse that awkward situation. So if you're having a conversation with someone, they fart really loudly, you might just be like, I'm going to pretend that didn't happen, right? Because you want to make the person feel better. And part of this is like spoiled performances make us uncomfortable. And I lecture in my intro class about humor and how when we're uncomfortable, we laugh sometimes because it helps make things feel better. And so that's one of the reasons The Office is funny, is because we're like, these people are being ridiculous, they're challenging expectations. It's funny. But you can also get that secondhand embarrassment. And the reason is that the loss of face reminds us of the fragility of our own performances. So when we see Michael be an absolute ass, we realize, wait, like, there but by the grace of God go I, right? We realize that can happen to us. We are awkward sometimes. It's a reminder that we're very awkward sometimes. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. I think that this week is actually a pretty fun week. That's why it's really, I know this week, I know that this time is not a fun time. I hope that we can hope this helps, but this is a more straightforward and entertaining section. So that's Goffman, a general idea. And this is, I promised you we were going to watch Catfish when we started class at the very beginning, and we're going to watch Catfish. About Goffman, right? Impression management. Emotion management and feeling rules, I added. We originally were going to read about ethnomethodology. Do people know about ethnomethodology? Did you cover it in your intro? That's when people break norms to kind of reveal what the underlying norms are. Good example of making connection of that would be like Borat, right? Outdated and somewhat racist, but the idea is he's acting kind of ridiculous. He's breaking all the social norms, and through how people respond, we learn something about society. But I thought, you guys got to meet Arlie Hochschild. Some of you got to meet her. A lot of you got to go see her, right? And she's really well known for this stuff on feeling rules and emotion management, so I thought we'd read this. She basically argues that we manage our emotions as part of our presentation. So she's extending Goffman's work and saying it's not just that we act and talk a certain way, but we also express ourselves in a certain way based on the situation. Feeling rules are the guidelines. So when I receive a present, the feeling rules, I'm supposed to get excited, right? Even if I'm really disappointed what the present is, even if someone has gotten me something terrible that I hate, I have to pretend to be happy. That's the feeling rule, right? In the same way that the feeling rule at a funeral is that you cry, even if you aren't sad, right? You're supposed to feel sad. You might feel guilty if you don't feel sad. You might feel like something's wrong with you because those are the feeling rules. They determine the emotional expectations for a situation. The emotional expectation for when you are working in retail is that you're supposed to be cheerful and happy with the customer, right?
But what comes in the answer with you like, I'm the one that's working, I'm doing the patient, are you? No.
Yeah. But yeah, so you get the idea though, right? These are feeling rules or the rules. Emotion management is what you do to get yourself to obey those rules, right? And there's a division between surface acting and deep acting. When you are working retail, you might put a smile on your face when you don't feel happy. That's surface acting. Your emotions underneath have not changed. Your face has changed. You're pretending. You know you're pretending. Now, deep acting would be when you are following the feeling rule because you've really internalized it. Deep acting is when you get yourself sad at the funeral. When you try to convince yourself you're happy at the present. Right? You're not just pretending by changing your face, you're trying to really change your emotions. You're trying to care when maybe you don't care. Or don't care when you do care. Now, I guess I am going to talk to you about methodology. I make all my PowerPoints at the beginning of the year. So, don't always remember it. Okay, so ethnomethodology is like theorizing about everyday life. So this is a really good example. They do social norm breaching experiments. So a very common like Social 100 type assignment is to have students go out and like break social norms and then write about it. This would be an example. Like, I had a great weekend. What do you mean by great? Or what exact time of the weekend? Right? We ask people how they're feeling all the time. How are you doing? It would be breaking a norm if you said, actually, I feel terrible. I have a lot going on, right? If someone just asked you how you are in passing. And this, so when we got here, Charles asked me, how are you? Good. That's how you're Huh?
For me?
Yeah.
I did what?
You asked me how I was.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I was like, wait, what did I do wrong? Right? He said good, because that's how you respond. Even you don't really feel that way. Right? So ethnomethodology is interested in how people understand and produce a social order in which they live through the study of everyday social interaction. I'm interested. Why do we do the things we do? Right? How can we figure out what are these norms, right? That we don't even think about because they're unconscious. And this is associated with breaching experiments, like I said, right? where you do something weird. So we're asking, how do people make sense of the social world? What are their explanations for when things don't go as expected?